Give a schmeichel, give a smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel. Be the reason someone smiles. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel. Give a schmeichel, give a smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel. Be the reason someone smiles. Give a smile, give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel. Be the reason someone smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel. Be the reason someone smiles. Simba, gedola, liyo, liyo, besimcha. Simba, gedola, liyo, liyo, besimcha. Simba, gedola, liyo, liyo, besimcha. Simba, gedola.
Breakfast with Elli.
Mode ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechazarta bi nishmati b'chemla Rabba emunatecha.
Noya mavdil ben kodesh lechol. Mashiach
There we are, and good morning, good vach, Shavua Tov, and welcome to Breakfast with Ellie. It is Sunday, the 11th day of December, the 17th day of Kislev, the year 5783. It is a year of Hakhel. Hakhel, the concept of gathering. It can apply to many things in many ways. For example, ideas in Torah can also have a Hakhel. We can collect them, store them in our minds, and create a Hakhel of information. That's right. The Lubavitcher Rebbe urged us that we should observe the year of Hakhel gathering in this manner as well, to amass knowledge in all parts of Torah, essentially forging a Hakhel within all of Torah's components. Rather than being a mere suggestion, the Rebbe explains that the Alter Rebbe, in his Shulchan Aruch, considers this an obligation. We must therefore utilize the final moments in Golus to complete a Hakhel in all areas of Torah before the great Hakhel, when not even one Jew will be left behind, with the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu speedily in our days. This week's Torah portion is Vayeisheiv. HaYom Rishon l'Shabbos. Today is the first day counting up towards Shabbos, and we will be learning the first Aliyah. How are you? How was your week? Good vach, a good week. I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Shabbos. Shabbos is wonderful over here, and you know what, boys and girls and others? It's snowing outside. That's right. And in honor of that, I've got this big snowy mountain here. No, it's not a big, huge snowfall, but there are some flakes. I'm seeing flakes coming down, little white flakes coming from the sky, which means it's cold outside. Yes, it is 37 degrees. Not quite enough for it to stick, so let's see what happens. All right, men and boys, take your two front tzitzis, and let's make a bracha on the tzitzis.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat tzitzit.
All right. Bracha al divrei Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al divrei Torah.
All right. And now, Hareini Mekabel.
Hareini Mekabel alai mitzvat aseh shel ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I take upon myself every single day to love my fellow friend in a very special way.
All right, Torah tziva lanu.
Ay Torah tziva lanu Moshe Morasha Keilat Yaakov. Torah tziva lanu Moshe Morasha Keilat Yaakov.
Aye, that brings us to giving of tzedakah.
I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box.
Giving for today,
Put it in the pushki for someone else to keep. Yeah, I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki for someone else in need.
All right, thank you very much. All right, now we can say the Shema. Are you ready? Right hand over your eyes.
Shahakalniya bidvoroi, shakalniya bidvoroi.
Ema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
What happens when you push the wrong button? I know, right?
Shahakalniya bidvoroi, shakalniya bidvoroi.
Very light, 0% fat Greek yogurt, no sugar added. And I am having a coffee, as I normally do. Thank you very much. Good morning, Rena. Are you ready? Let's make a bracha shahakol. It is breakfast time here in New York City at Breakfast with Elli. It may be lunch or dinner or maybe even a midnight snack where you are. Ready? Hakhel. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakhel niyeh b'dvaroi. Very, very good. Oh, coffee. Yeah.
Coffee, blessed coffee. God bless you for being a friend. When the whole world turns on me, it's only you on which I can depend. I want to taste you in the morning and a few times throughout the day. Yes, a cup or two in the evening too. For me, it's the only way. Yeah.
Push the wrong button again. Here we go. All right. All right. Thank you, Tali. Yes, you people are very funny. All right. Moving on to today in Jewish. Today, the 17th day of the Hebrew month of Kislev, is the day that Ezra cried and prayed. The scribe, Ezra the Sofer, went up to the Holy Temple. He fasted and he prayed and cried in public. Now, while he prayed and confessed, weeping and prostrating himself in front of the temple, a large assemblage of men, women, and children gathered around him. At that time, all the assembled priests and Israelites swore to send away their non-Jewish wives. Ezra then issued a proclamation that all Jews living in Israel should assemble in 3 days' time in Jerusalem. And we'll learn about that in 3 days. Yeah, but I got to keep you in suspense a little bit, right? Reminder that we started with the Ma'ariv prayer, the evening prayer on Sunday, the 4th of December, began inserting a request for rain, the same Tal Umatar Livracha. I will continue to remind you until January 3rd, at which time 30 days will have passed, and you probably, hopefully, God willing, will be saying it all on your own. All right? Anti-Jewish riots broke out this day in Paris, resulting in many people killed in 1380. The riots began after Charles VI ascended to the throne and announced he would not expel the Jews. The murderers, mostly noblemen, were hoping to relieve themselves of the debts that they owed the Jewish money lenders. All right. The Jews of Nassau, Germany, were granted legal equality in the year 1848. And it was the end of the Austrian-Hungarian death march of the Jews in 1944. And a day after the United Nations vote, the Israeli War of Independence began when a bus near Lod is attacked and 5 of its passengers were killed in 1947. The Arabs proclaimed a general strike and attacked the Jewish commercial quarter near the Old City in Jerusalem. Some heavy-duty stuff. I know, What can I tell you? That's just, not every day is seemingly good, but they're all good. We know that. All right? Now, I have a question for you posed to Chabad.org. Is it okay to talk to children about the tooth fairy? The question was asked. My wife and I disagree about the tooth fairy. We both know it doesn't exist. That's not the debate. The debate is whether it's dangerous to teach our kids. She said it's harmful to fool kids because they discover it's not true and won't trust you. But I think it's important to develop a child's imagination. And the world of tooth fairies does just that. What do you think? Rabbi Aaron Moss answered, I don't think that the tooth fairy is dangerous. But why spark a child's imagination with made-up characters when we can do so with real imaginary characters? Yes, that's right. In Jewish thought, we have real imaginary characters. Real because they actually do exist. Imaginary because we can only perceive them with our imaginative faculties. Now, one example of this teaching is the two Yetzers, the inclinations. Each of us has two angelic forces within us vying control over our lives. One is called the Yetzer Tov, the good inclination, the inner voice of goodness that encourages us to live an upright, moral life. The other is the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. That's the bad voice inside us that teaches us to make selfish and immoral choices. Now, every time we choose well, this evil voice is weakened and our inner goodness is strengthened. But if we choose badly, our evil side celebrates while the good side is undermined. Children respond very well to this teaching. They know what it means to fight. Kids do that all the time. When they turn their belligerence inward, personifying their inner evil, it brings this battle for morality to life in them. It's no longer just be a good little kid, don't be naughty, becomes don't let the Yetzer Hara win, and good for you, you're making your Yetzer Tov stronger. Instead of rewarding kids for losing a tooth, how about rewarding them for not losing their temper? This is more than just developing a child's imagination. It develops their moral muscle. So forget the tooth fairy. Our imaginary characters are very, very real. So teach them about the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Tov. There you go. All right. I had something else for you today. Let me see if I can find it here. No, I don't actually. All right. Let us now move on to HaYom Yom. HaYom Yom for today, the 17th day of Kislev. Oh, where is my HaYom Yom?
Just the other night, my wife and I were having dinner with a woman, and she turned to us and she said, how is it that you Chabad people, men and women, all think the same? You think the same about everything. You all think the same way. So I started to laugh, just like I'm chuckling now, and I said, actually, we don't. Here's a fun little game you can play. If you have 5 Chabad men or women at your disposal, get them all around the table and ask a question about anything current and elicit the opinions. And you're almost guaranteed to get, if there's 5 people around the table, to get 5 very different opinions. So if we don't think the same way and we don't feel the same about things, what then do we have in common? So today's HaYom Yom speaks to this question. It says HaYom Yom, Hasidus Chabad enables one to know and recognize Hashem. So now that's up here, to know and recognize Hashem. It awakens the feelings of the heart that are parallel to that cognitive understanding. So this kind of comes on the, as you can say, almost as a follow-up to yesterday's HaYom Yom. Chabad helps us recognize and understand Hashem cognitively, and it also helps us elicit an emotional, passionate connection to Hashem. And finally, Hasidus Chabad shows the way that each individual, commensurate with his or her innate abilities, can approach and serve Hashem with the mind and the heart. So everybody's got a different mind, and everybody's certainly got a different heart. So no two people are going to have the exact same perspective on something, and they're certainly not going to have the exact same emotional feeling towards something. What then do we all have in common? What we do have in common is that each of us, with our unique cognitive and emotional abilities, can use those abilities not to be self-serving. What we can all have in common is to use our unique gifts in the service of Hashem.
All right. You got that? Very, very important. Very, very, very important. All right. Oh, some severe weather. Okay, well that got shortened really. What is being called an atmospheric river event will bring ample amounts of moisture to the west this weekend, gradually moving across the country and bringing hazardous weather to millions, including potential blizzard conditions in the Midwest and tornadoes in the South. There's going to be feet of snow, heavy rain, and possibly tornadoes across the United States for more than 10 million people, nearly a dozen states from California to Minnesota. Snow could top out at 1 or 2 feet in the Rockies and 3 to 5 feet in the Sierras by the end of the weekend. Heavy rain is also going to be notable in the West, particularly in California, where flooding concerns will exist through Sunday. An atmospheric river is a plume of moisture which streams in off the Pacific Ocean. Similar to a fire hose, it shoots moisture into one area for an extended period of time, resulting in heavy rain or snow. So let's be careful out there, especially if you live out in the West or in the South. Jackson, Alexandria, Lake Charles, New Orleans, Houston, there's going to be some pretty heavy rain. The greatest threat exists for an area from New Orleans to Panama City, Florida. Okay? The details will become clearer as the event approaches, but please check your weather forecasts and don't go out in bad weather if you do not need to. All right? Okay. And now a word from our sponsors. PestProRidol.com.
PestProRidol.com. Trusted by the best to keep away the pests. We are offering COVID-19 disinfection services. Mention this ad and get 1 month free service. Visit us at PestProRidol.com.
Tarzane Group. Micro, miniature, and small orchids. Go to tarzanegroup.com or call Tomas at 305-440-0565. That's 305-440-0565. And order today. Visit Tomas and Yair at tarzanegroup.com. Micro, miniature, and small orchids. Beautiful in your home. Go to the website and read Tomas's orchid blog. And by Dina D Design. DinaDDesign@gmail.com. Fine artwork, custom made to your specifications. Logos, wall hangings, Judaica. And you can even have something for your child's room. Dina D Designs. Go to her Facebook or Instagram or call or text. Thank you very much to our sponsors. If you'd like to become a sponsor, please go right up here to where it says patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, and you can contribute even only $1 a month if you'd like, but that'll help us bring this broadcast to you on a daily basis and cover our expenses. Be sure to thank your sponsors when shopping and mention Breakfast with Elli when you're shopping there. there might be discounts. Thanks for watching.
Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe.
All right. Patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, or as we said, breakfastwithelli.live/tipjar if you would like to contribute today and help bring Torah all around the world. All right. Sunday, we do the name of the Parsha. Now, at first glance, this Parsha seems to have a most inappropriate name. Vayeisheiv means, and he settled. Yet in this Parsha, we read about the most unsettling event in Yaakov's life, the disappearance of Yosef. In fact, at the beginning of the Parsha, Rashi writes, when Yaakov sought to settle in tranquility, Yosef's anger against his brothers sprang upon him. So, how could a Parsha that speaks of Yaakov's upheaval come to be known as Yaakov settled? In truth, however, Yaakov's request for peace and tranquility was eventually granted by Hashem, as we find that in Yaakov's last 17 years, he lived a peaceful, comfortable life in Egypt. It's only when Yaakov sought peace Hashem wanted to give him a more sublime peace and tranquility than Yaakov was yet worthy of. Therefore, Hashem sent him the ordeal with his son Yosef in order to challenge Yaakov and thereby uplift him spiritually to the level that he would be deserving of the greater peace in store for his life. And that's why the Rebbe says the entire Parsha is called Vayeisheiv, and he settled. For in this Parsha, we read of the ordeals which Hashem sent Yaakov to elevate him spiritually to the point where he could live a totally harmonious life in this world as well as in the world to come. Wow. All right, I got that. All right, in the first Aliyah, Yaakov and his family settle in the land of Canaan. Of all of his sons, Yaakov favored Yosef, the firstborn of his deceased beloved wife Hakhel, and made for him Kesenes Pasim, a special robe of fine wool. Yosef's brothers were jealous of the favoritism and avoided talking to Yosef. Yosef related his brothers 2 dreams that he had, both implying that he would eventually rule over his brothers, and thus increased his brothers' hatred and envy over him. All right, a little medrash over here. We saw in the last Parsha that Yaakov had finally returned home to Israel, but almost 400 years earlier, Hashem told Avram that the Jews would be slaves in a different country. That country would be Mitzrayim, Egypt. How could Hashem get Yaakov and his family to Egypt? Well, he had a master plan. Yosef would be sold to Egypt as a slave and become the ruler of the country. Because of the hunger in the world, there would be no food in Israel, and Yaakov and his family would move to join Yosef, who had made sure that there was plenty of food in Egypt. Years later, the Egyptians would force the Jews to become slaves. But first, how did Yosef become sold to Egypt as a slave? To understand how such a thing could happen, we have to know more about Yosef and how he got along with his brothers and the dreams he had. Yosef was now 17 years old and very, very handsome. He carefully combed his hair so it would look just right. He was close to the children of Bilhah and Zilpah because their mothers had been servants before Yaakov married them. Sometimes Leah's children did not treat these brothers very nicely. Yosef wanted to show that it didn't matter to him that their mothers were once servants, and he spent his free time with them. Now imagine if your parents gave your brother a new bike and not you. What if your brother told your parents every time you did something wrong? How would you feel about your brother? A bit jealous? A little angry? Well, you probably wouldn't like him and probably wouldn't talk to him, right? Well, that's what happened between Yosef and his brothers. Because he had been born when his father was already much older, Yosef became the favorite. And Yaakov gave him a special gift, a beautiful woolen robe of many colors that we call in Hebrew ketonet patim, ketones pasim. Yaakov learned Torah with Yosef. He taught Yosef all that he had learned in the yeshiva of Shem and Ever. There were times when Yosef saw his brothers do things that he felt were wrong, and he ran to his father and told them. Though Yosef thought they were wrong, he made a mistake. He thought that Yaakov would want to know so that he could teach his sons to stop whatever it was that they were doing. Because of the way Yosef behaved and the way Yaakov treated him, the brothers were very jealous of Yosef and hated him. There are dishonest people who make believe that they are someone's friend even though they hate them. They continue to speak to their enemy as if they were the best friend. Not the brothers. They stopped talking to Yosef unless they had to. They were too honest to pretend that they liked him when they really didn't. Now we're talking about tzaddikim, righteous people in their own rights. So imagine what level this is on. Now one night, Yosef dreamt that he and his brothers were tying together wheat into bundles. Suddenly, all the bundles stood up, and a brother's bundle made a circle around his bundle and bowed down to it. Yosef told his brothers what he had dreamed. The brothers understood the dream's message. The bowing bundles were the brothers bowing to Yosef. They were angry that Yosef had dreamed this dream. They told Yosef, "You think you'll become king over us, that you will be our boss?" They hated him even more. Yosef had a second dream. He dreamt that the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars bowed and 11 stars bowed down to him. The meaning was clear. There would come a time when Yosef's father, Yaakov, the sun, the mother, the moon, and his brothers would bow down to him. Yaakov scolded Yosef. "What kinds of dreams are these? Are we to come, your mother, your brothers, and I, and bow down to you?" Yaakov was upset with Yosef for telling his dream to his brothers, causing them to hate him. But Yaakov believed Yosef's dream. He was sure that at some point in the future, the dream would come true. The question was when. I'm sorry, hold on 1 second. Yaakov patiently waited for when that would happen. Now, to remember Yosef's dream, Yaakov wrote it down. He included the date, time, and place where Yosef had told him that dream. Good morning, Maor. How are you? Shavua Tov. All right, we will continue this tomorrow because there is so much more. All right. Now, how could this dream be true? The moon, Yosef's mother, they couldn't bow down to him. His mother, Hakhel, had already died. Well, the moon was not a symbol of Hakhel, but Bilhah, who raised him after Hakhel died. She would be the one to bow down to him in Egypt. Here's Shnayim Yomim for a little bit more explanation.
Parashat Vayeisheiv, Rishon. In this very Aliyah, we found that Yaakov Avinu is doing what he's not supposed to do. He's causing jealousy. What happens in the story? ויראו אחיו כי אותו אהב אביהם מכל אחיו, וישנאו אותו ולא יכלו דברו לשלום. The brothers of Yosef get very jealous of him. They start hating him. What's the reason? ויראו כי אותו אהב אביהם מכל אחיו. They see that their father loves him more than anybody else. Not only that, he gives Yosef special ketonet pasim, which causes them also an extra feeling of jealousy. Therefore, Chazal tell us in Gemara Shabbat, Yud Amud Bet, לעולם אל ישנה אדם בינו בין הבנים. A person should never change anything between the children. Give anything more to one child over the other. שהרי בשביל משקל שני סלעים מילת לקטונת פסים שעשה יעקב ליוסף יותר משאר אחיו, נתקנאו בו אחיו, ונתגלגל הדבר וירדו אבותינו למצרים. Because of that קטונת פסים, because of that extra jealousy that the brothers had over Yosef, everybody, the entire Klal Israel had to go down to Mitzrayim. That's what eventually happened. This is how severe it is. But interesting that right afterwards, we see that Yosef starts dreaming dreams. And he tells those dreams to his brothers. ויחלום עוד חלום ויספר אותו לאחיו. He tells them in front of his father as well. What does the father, Yaakov, do? ויגער בו אביו. ויאמר לו, אבוא נבוא, אני ואימך ואחיך להשתחוות לך ארצה? Is that possible? Why did he scream at him? He believed the dreams. Rashi says that Yaakov Avinu believed that the dreams will come true and he waited for it to come true. So why did he scream at him if that's the case? The reason is, Rashi says, שהיה מטיל שנאה עליו. He was causing jealousy and hatred. So he wanted to calm down the hatred of the brothers. Yaakov had a mission. Make sure that you don't do it anymore. It's not true. It's wrong what you're doing. Well, how didn't Yaakov, that understands right now that such things cause hatred and jealousy, didn't understand that very basic idea in the beginning? When he treated Yosef better than his brothers. It wasn't just a one-time event. It was ongoing. This is a very, very big question. And the answer is that we see that although the brothers felt the jealousy, Yaakov Avinu, when he treated Yosef more than his brothers, couldn't feel that because he was the one doing it. But when others do it, when Yosef does it to his brothers, he feels it and he knows it right away. We see that many times we are blinded by our actions when we can see them very clearly when others do the same. And this is a very big message. This is Avot HaKdoshim. It's hard to talk about the Avot HaKdoshim because there are Kodesh Kodashim. Obviously, when we talk about them, it's only with the messages that the Torah wants to teach us. Obviously, there's some things that are very, very thin over here that really went wrong. But a message that we can clearly see in the Torah that although Yosef was causing jealousy, Yaakov Avinu picked on that, but he didn't pick on what he was doing.
All right. Rabbi Martyr did not upload a video today, so Yossi Ives has a beautiful piece called Perhaps Peace and Quiet Are Overrated. What does it take for someone to get some peace and quiet? Isaiah famously declared, there is no peace for the wicked. Yeah, that's where it comes from. But the sages said, the righteous have no rest. And Job stated definitively that man was born to toil. So whether you're righteous or wicked or somewhere in between, do not expect peace. Perhaps peace and quiet is overrated. Well, it seems so because when Yaakov sought a tranquil life, things started to get even more intense. After working for his unscrupulous uncle and father-in-law Lavan for 20 years, Yaakov dwelt in the land of his father's sojourning in the land of Canaan. Vayeisheiv Yaakov. Tired of being a temporary resident, Yaakov resolved to settle down and enjoy a normal life. But that, as we know, was not meant to be. Torah tells us, no sooner had Yaakov sought to dwell in tranquility than the troubles of Yosef sprang upon him. The righteous seek to dwell in tranquility, said the Holy One. Blessed be he. What is prepared for the righteous in the world to come is not sufficient for them. But they seek also to dwell in tranquility in this world. That is a quote from Rashi. All right, how about that? Indeed, the biblical narrative continues by outlining the troubles that Yaakov faced with his most beloved son, Yosef. It began as a conflict between the brothers and the famous dreams. The story continues with the brothers conspiring to kill him, settling instead on selling him into slavery. Yaakov mourned Joseph for 20 years, believing him dead until being joyfully reunited with him in his old age. Rather than the blissful tranquility he wished for, Yaakov suffered decades of grief. Now, the impression given is that Yaakov was handed an extra dose of grief as a lesson for wanting a quiet life. Apparently, as a tzaddik, a righteous person, Yaakov should have known that it's inappropriate to seek tranquility. In that case, how do we explain the wording of the passage from Rashi that we just cited, that the righteous seek to dwell in tranquility? Rashi seems to be saying that aspiring to a quiet life is something that righteous people do as a matter of course. But if indeed this is the wrong way, how does it make sense that it would be the normal practice of righteous people? Yes, even a righteous person can occasionally falter, but Rashi is not saying that this is a mistake some righteous people make, but the goal of all or most tzaddikim. By virtue of being a tzaddik, would they not be expected to pursue that which is right? How does it make sense to say that righteous people have a common tendency to want something that is unrighteous? The Medrash has a slightly different version of this same teaching. When the righteous dwell in tranquility, the Satan arrives and instigates against them. Now, Satan is not known for his friendly nature, and it wouldn't be surprising if he instigated against the righteous, but Rashi leaves Satan out of the picture and says, it's the Holy One, blessed be he, who objects to the desire for quietude. So why would the righteous keep doing something that Hashem finds objectionable? The Rebbe offers a refreshing new take on Rashi's teaching, which also provides valuable guidance for life. Yaakov was not merely looking to have an easy life, with physical comforts and no practical challenges. Rather, he wanted to be spared all the distractions that they bring, so that he could dedicate himself to his spiritual pursuits. Rightly so, this is the habit of all righteous people. They want to devote all their attention to reaching higher levels of scholarship and prayer, without turmoil, without disruption getting in the way. As Maimonides wrote, the Rambam, this is the reason that all of Israel, along with its prophets and scholars, long for Mashiach, that they be left in peace by governments that prevent them from applying themselves properly to the pursuit of Torah and mitzvahs, so that they may find calmness and increase their knowledge. All Yaakov wanted was to be left in peace and quiet to pursue his higher goals. This is completely normal for people of the Spirit. They wish to be spared the drama and complexity of the material world so that they can grow in their piety and nobility. So why was Yaakov's wish denied? Why was his aspiration not fulfilled? And why was life quickly made difficult for him? Well, Hashem's answer to Yaakov was not no, but not yet. It's noble to want to seek tranquility, but only in its time. In fact, Yaakov did ultimately achieve his long-awaited tranquility. He enjoyed 17 peaceful years in Egypt under the care of his beloved son Yosef. But in order to attain that level of peacefulness, he needed to experience the travails that preceded it. It wasn't simply a matter of waiting his turn. Rather, everything he went through was a new step in preparing him for the eventual state of peace that he reached at the end. And the level of peace he reached as a result was far greater than what he would have achieved initially. Now, Yaakov was content with a basic modicum of peace, but Hashem had something much bigger in store for him. Yaakov was shooting too low. He was looking to attain the level of happiness that he was capable of understanding at the time. But Hashem knew of a level of satisfaction that Yaakov could not yet imagine. Think about that. It was as if Hashem was saying to Yaakov, don't worry, you will get your peaceful, undisturbed life, but you're not ready yet. When it comes, it'll be the ultimate in peacefulness. For now, there are some challenges that you need to go through to face and overcome. And that's a lesson for our lives too. It is right that we should aspire to a life devoid of troubles in which we're free to devote ourselves to our higher pursuits. But we must remember that struggles, they're sent to us for a reason. Life's challenges are not a punishment, but a means to help us reach our full potential based on a talk by the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Seemed an appropriate day to go to Rabbi Feldman, Chabad of Iceland.
Who is the biblical character who suffered most in their early life? The answer is probably Yosef. His mother died when he was just a little boy. Growing up, he was hated, he was bullied, he was abused, he was almost killed. And finally he was sold as a slave. And while he was in slavery, he was falsely accused and ended up in prison with a life sentence. So Yosef had every reason and every right to be withdrawn, to be depressed, sad, and consumed with self-pity. But the Torah shares with us an episode, a very unusual episode, that happened in prison, which sheds some light on what type of person Yosef was. Yosef was walking around the prison one morning, and he encountered two other prisoners who were looking down and unhappy. And so he went over to them and said, "Why are you downcast today? Why are you unhappy?" While Yosef could have been completely consumed in his own grief, he reached out to another. He reached out to these people who he saw needed some help, who he saw needed a kind word. Ultimately, this act of caring and this act of reaching out, this act of love, led to Yosef's freedom and also a salvation for the entire region, as we see in the continuation of the story. But this is something that we learn from Yosef, that no matter the circumstances, you could always reach out to another person who is in need. Even if it's something small, just a small hello, how are you? How are you feeling? Just to see how they're doing. Never underestimate the power of even just a few small words or a small gesture. This could make a huge impact to someone's life. And ultimately, this could change the world. And in the end, this will help you as well.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Let us now go to Michael Kigel. I just got to wait for the computer. Hold on. It is being a little bit poopy, as it is wont to be.
This brother and supreme judge overruled their decision and
I'll start that again, and I'll turn down the volume because that got very, very loud. All right. Here we go with Michael Kigel.
Are rabbis a bit judgmental sometimes? Judgmental! The rabbi's judgmental! Sometimes. Tzedek, tirdoif, justice you shall pursue. The whole Torah is predicated on justice and therefore on judgment. What do you think?
He's a bit scary.
Right?
But ask him if he thinks rabbis always judge fairly.
Who is this little girl? And why is she even part of this mature discussion? Do rabbis always judge fairly? I mean, isn't it possible for even the greatest judge to misjudge sometimes? Even a court, a beit din of the greatest judges. A beit din! A tribunal of holy rabbis, men erudite in Torah matters, in the highest degree of erudition, are next to infallible. Take the case of Joseph's brothers, for example. When they decided to execute him, they did so on the basis of a reasoned judgment that he, Joseph, had brought a bad, incriminating report of them to their father, so that they would incur their father's curse. Who says this?
Rabbi Ovadia Sforno, 16th century Italian Parsha.
I know who the Sforno is. According to the Sforno, Joseph's brothers had misapplied the rule of Haba lehargecha, hashkem lehargo.
If someone comes to kill you. Wake up early and kill him first. Sanhedrin 72a.
Yosef's brothers were all tzaddikim, righteous men. What, do you think they were a bunch of hoodlums?
Chas v'shalom. Hoodlums.
Aye, chas v'shalom. This is why the Sforno specifies that the decision of the brothers to execute Yosef was a result of rabbinic judiciousness.
But they were wrong.
Why is this little girl allowed to speak?
They were wrong.
They were wrong, the brothers. Ah, yes, which is why Reuben, the eldest brother and supreme judge, overruled their decision and spared Yosef's life.
And instead, the brothers threw Joseph into a pit.
An empty pit.
A pit with no water in it.
Ein b'mayim, there was no water in it. What does any of this have to do with the fact that Yosef's brothers came to a judgment that was
wrong?
Chutzpah.
The judgment was wrong.
It wasn't exactly wrong.
What, Joseph was guilty?
Not exactly guilty.
Because there was no water.
What does water have to do with this?
The water, or the lack of water, in the pit was symbolic. Water represents the fact that a totally selfless commitment to the Torah is tasteless. Water is bittul.
Bittul?
Bittul means negation.
I know what bittul means, little girl.
Are you related?
Uncle.
Is he always this irritable?
He's a bit quick to judge sometimes.
Excuse me, but I can hear everything you're saying, which is not very respectful, doesn't show very much bittul, and you still haven't explained in clear terms what bittul, total humility, has to do with the absence of water in Yosef's pit.
Joseph's brothers. Do you want to?
Please.
Joseph's brothers were tzaddikim.
Righteous men, righteous judges.
But the sense of self-importance wasn't completely negated in complete humility.
When they passed judgment on Joseph, they still factored in their own importance into their judgment. They refused to apply what they knew to be divine wisdom in this case, if this wisdom had no taste, if it didn't appeal to their personal intellectual palates.
But real divine wisdom is tasteless, like water.
Divine wisdom is infinitely beyond the grasp of the human intellect, and in order to tap into it, a judge must renounce any desire to fully appreciate what makes a fair judgment fair.
So the brothers judged Yosef as a matter of personal taste?
Like chocolate or vanilla.
There is Neapolitan.
I don't like strawberry.
Right?
But justice is beyond strawberry.
Justice is beyond taste.
So the judgment of the brothers was wrong.
And I suppose your judgment is better.
Hey, I'm just a little girl.
Thank heaven for humble little girls.
Jewish audio on Chabad.org.
When Yosef is approached by the wife of his master, the commentaries tell us that he's ready to submit to her requests, ready to indulge himself.
Sorry about that. We can't do that one yet. It's not time. I know. It's okay. It happens. Today is a button-pushing nightmare. But here's Rabbi Label Wolf.
In this week's parasha Vayeisheiv, Potiphar's wife makes advances to the very handsome-looking Yosef, attempting to seduce him. He withstands her overtures, but one of the things the Torah tells us was that Yosef was indeed a very handsome, beautiful-looking man. And the question is, since when does the Torah extol the virtue of external beauty? And of course, the commentators explain, not at all. His beauty was far more pronounced within than without, and very often internal beauty starts to radiate and express a beauty on the outside. What does internal beauty mean? It means to be a person of character. What does it mean, the phrase, a person of character? That we recognize within that person a firm sense of values, a commitment to truth. There's something special about the person, and all of us will always look up to a person who demonstrates character. And that was within Yosef. And that's why, indeed, Yosef was able to withstand the lure and overtures of Potiphar's wife. And therefore, we have to ask ourselves the same question. The question is, what is the essence of our being? Will people look to us as individuals of character? So your mission this week is, look inside yourself and ask yourself, is there work to be done? Am I consistent in the way that I am able to maintain strength of commitment, strength of values? Is this what I'm imbuing to my children, to my friends, to society at large? Carry out your mission successfully.
All right. Moving on to Tehillim. All right, we are saying chapter 121 in this most important segment. If you knew the power of Tehillim, you would say it every waking moment. Here is chapter 121. Let us say it together, please. Are you ready? All right.
Tanya.
All right, we are coming to the conclusion of the entire book of Tanya. Can you imagine that? The entire book of Tanya we have completed now for the fourth time here at Breakfast with Elli. Wow, this is really, 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 really cool. All right, we are now on the 17th day of Kislev. We are on Kuntras Acharon, essay number 8. The primary spiritual service of the time directly preceded Mashiach's coming is tefillah, prayer. We shouldn't rush our tefillah, but we should make an effort to take time and meditate on the words in order to arouse and reveal the latent avas Hashem, the love of Hashem, within our hearts. Usually, this love is felt by the godly soul alone, but through meditation during our prayer, we can bring it to expression within the heart, the seat of our animal soul. The Alter Rebbe writes that this is the essential meaning of our mission of elevating the spark, the transformation, the ishapcha, or subjugation, iskafia, of our nefesh Bahamis to our nefesh Elokis. I'm sorry, I can't speak this morning. So the point of all of this is to unify the two parts of our soul within our body, the godly soul and the evil soul, the animal soul. Not necessarily evil, but it wants what it wants. Really, it's true. All right? And we will complete the Tanya tomorrow, which is very, very exciting. All right, now we are doing Sefer HaMitzvahs of the Rambam.
No, it's not impossible that
Minute number 207.
So we've completed the laws governing corpse tumah, both the ways to become impure and the ways to become pure from it. And we're moving on to the next type of impurity. Positive mitzvah number 101 is that a person can contract the tumah of tsaras, commonly translated as leprosy. If a person sees certain type of skin lesions on his body, if they meet a certain color and size and many other conditions, the Torah establishes this man as a mitzora, one who has contracted the tumah of tsaras, and he must follow special laws, which we'll see over the coming days. But even to become impure with tsaras takes multiple conditions. Sometimes a person would have to wait a week or 2 weeks until his position as a mitzora could be established. And this mitzvah basically entails the fact that we have to follow all of Torah's instructions as it governs people becoming impure with tsaras.
All right, time for Mashiach. You know that I mean that literally as well as figuratively. All right, here we go. Let me just get to it. If Hashem has made everything beautiful in its proper time, it says in Koheles. Adam was worthy that the Torah be given to him, but Hashem said, I will give it instead to your children, because Hashem does everything in its proper time, as we learned with Yaakov. How is it that the deepest secrets of Torah will be revealed and understood by the last and perhaps lowest generation? If earlier generations didn't merit these secrets, then why will we? Well, the previous higher generations were worthy. Nevertheless, it wasn't the proper time for these matters to be revealed. The purpose of Torah is to guide us in our lives. The final redemption of our exile is charged with the task of completing the refinement process of transforming this deep darkness into the bright light. This unique task requires understanding of the most profound secrets of the Torah. Therefore, Hashem is revealing those secrets now so that we can complete our task and bring the Geula Ha'amitis V'Hashlema, the final redemption, B'mheira B'yameinu, speedily in our days, with Mashiach Tzidkenu now. And with that, we go to CHANUKAH. Look at that. I just got this. Now, this is not kosher for the mitzvah of lighting the menorah, but it is for Pesume Nisa to put it in your window for all to see. I think that's super important. And that's why I got that, to put that in my office window. All right? Or some window, someplace. I have to see where I'm going to put that. Not exactly sure yet. All right. Mitzvahs of CHANUKAH. All right. We've got so much going on here. So much going on. All right. Where are we now? By the way, CHANUKAH is a week from today. Next Sunday. I know. There are several directives from the Lubavitcher Rebbe with the goal of strengthening the fulfillment of the mitzvahs and customs of CHANUKAH. We should make every effort that CHANUKAH candles are kindled in every Jewish home. All males, including young children, should light their own menorah. Females too, if they want to. And they should definitely light Shabbos candles every Friday night, beginning at age 3. Gather all the Jewish children, including those who never learned in a Jewish school, and tell them the story of the miracle of Hanukkah and give them an opportunity to light the menorah. Influence our friends and neighbors to light the menorah. Make efforts that all children should receive a Hanukkah gift, Hanukkah gelt. And it would be best if the boys gave to the boys and the girls gave to the girls. Giving tzedakah throughout the days of Hanukkah, except on Shabbos and Friday, you should give a double portion. Arouse them to aid in learning throughout Hanukkah ideas related to Hanukkah in the Torah to honor these days. All right? As much as is humanly possible, we should encourage this behavior in our children. Okay? All right. And I'm going to put this at the top over here, and we're going to go through that again. All right. There we go. All right. All right. And now our PSAs. Food and hot meals every single day. In Rockland County, it's tomcheishabbos.org. In Lakewood, it's tomchei.org. And in Chicago, it's breakfastwithelli.live/Chicago Food Bank. All right? It doesn't need to be so big. Let's move it over here a little bit. All right? I'm going to fix this. I'm going to make this a little bit easier to read tomorrow, God willing. All right? Yeah. All right. That's not easier to read. Okay, I'm messing it up, but I'll fix it. achiezer.org. They're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year at 516-791-4444, achiezer.org. They are the most amazing organization ever because they can provide you with absolutely everything that you need. All right? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They're available for you in an emergency. Hatzalah.org. Hatzalah is a beautiful EMS service, and they're available 24/7 all around the world. MissOskim.org. In times of bereavement, go to their 24-hour emergency hotline at 718-854-4540. And just one Shabbos, helping bring youth back to the beauty of keeping Shabbat. They are another one of those just amazing organizations that just unbelievable what people do to help out other people. It really is. If you are, God forbid, the victim of or see a hate crime in progress, you must call 911, and you must call them even on Shabbos and even on Yom Tov. Doesn't matter. It is important to catch these people, and the quicker you call them, the quicker they will be caught. And please, for crying out loud,
wear a mask. Wear a mask. Is this really much to ask? Tie some fabric around your face. Oh, it's the simplest of tasks. At the gym, at the store. Don't treat it like such a chore.
Seriously, it is so unbelievably important. You have no idea how important it is for us to stay safe. People are still getting sick. People are still being hospitalized, and you can prevent this all by wearing a mask and getting your vaccinations. That's the other big thing, all right? Get your vaccination. All right. Let's bring some heaven down to earth. Oh my God here. In two ways, we are one, in our essence and in our character. In our essence, we are all one soul with one source. In our character, we're all complementary of each other. None of us complete like a handshake, one contributing what the other lacks, one adding his touch of perfection to his fellow. Like a jigsaw puzzle. We all fit together to make a single perfect whole. For none of us is perfect without the rest of us. And the rest of us are complete when a single individual is missing. Yeah. Achenu b'nei Yisrael. We are all one. All right. You want to talk about that? Come to me on social media. Any of the Actors Rabbis groups on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, LinkedIn, Telegram, Twitter, WhatsApp, or theactorsrabbi.com, where you can sign up for life coaching services should you require them. All right, let's make it a bracha. Baruch ato Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam boirei nefashos rabos v'chesronan al kol ma sheborosa lachayos bohem nefesh kol chai baruch chai ha'olamim. All right. All right. Thank you so much for being here. It's so interesting that you leave any comments or suggestions or just want to chat. Come to me on any of my social media platforms. All right. There they are again, just in case you need them. All right. Go out and do something nice, something good for someone today. Thank you to my Patreon sponsors, Pest Pro Riddle, Tarzan Orchids, Dina D Design, Dr. Susan Spitzer, Bracha Biederman. Go to patreon.com/theactorsrabbi or our virtual tip jar at breakfastwithelli.live/tip jar. Use this handy QR code on your screen. All right, Achoseinu, we are all brothers and sisters. We are all siblings. A brand new music video for you by Yidi, what's his name over here? I don't know. What is it? Bielazotsky. All right. Big name. All right. It is Sunday, Yom Rishon, the first day of the week, the 17th day of the month of Kislev. Tomorrow night is Yud Tes Kislev. Monday night is Yud Tes Kislev. And we will be talking all about that tomorrow. I got lots to tell you. We'll be completing this cycle of the Tanya. And then, yeah, that's so cool, right? All right, go out and do something nice, something good for someone today. In the words of Rav Isaac Halmer, have affection for a fellow. Hashem will have affection for you. Do a kindness for a fellow. Hashem will do a kindness for you. Draw a fellow close, and Hashem will draw you close to him. Thank you for being here. Come back tomorrow and bring at least one person, if not more, so that we can do a virtual Hakhel here at Breakfast with Elli. All right? Have a great day. Next Sunday night is CHANUKAH. Oy CHANUKAH, come light the menorah. Okay, very good. Have a great and glorious day, and I will see you tomorrow, God willing.
Minayin levirkas chasanim min hatoiru sheneima vayevorech yesriveku vayoimri lo vayevorech yesriveku Vayoimri la בבירקס חסנים מן התוירו שנאמר ויברך יסריבקו ויאמרי לו ויברך יסריבקו ויאמרי לו שנאמרו לאברהם בהר המויריום תשתי מדעני kinder ולן auch bakigim in bazinden wie die alle bruches und dann gegeben geworden für Abraham und was HaYom v'yira zarachu v'sharoyvom al tizarach v'gam li'oso bruchu shenemru le'avruhom behar hamoyriyu li'medam kinder v'lo b'kilim bazinder dibru b'chis v'har hamoyriyu oy givurecha vurechichu al vurechichu v'har ve'ar ve'zarachu ve'zarachu k'koich v'yashumoyim v'gechoy l'asher as was HaYom v'yira zarachu v'sharoyvom Rechu Arbe Zarachu Kekoir vayashumo Yeme gehule sheras vas HaYom Yira Zarachu Esharoyvo